what? No one's ever faced a fighter like me. I've been here before. I've done this, and it's like it's just another day for me.
You can never count out a talent like you. Yeah.
I'm giving people like TED Talk right here. This is dimes right here that I'm dropping.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought this belt because this is my favorite belt. I know I'm biased.
That sanctioning fee of 3% that you guys don't charge, right? There's no sanctioning fee. Why not 3 rounds?
Okay.
Extra. 15 rounds.
Welcome to the Ring Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Doug Fisher, editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine. And with me, the incomparable, the amazing, the incredible, 2-division, 2-time Ring Magazine champion of the world, Teofimo Lopez. Teo. Yay!
From Brooklyn, New York, the takeover, Teofimo Lopez!
Got him against the ropes. He squared up, defenseless, punching hard, right hand, right hand.
The takeover, Teofimo Lopez!
Teo, thank you for joining us. And I'm glad you brought this belt because this is my favorite belt. I know I'm biased.
Yeah.
But even before I was affiliated with the Ring, it was the Ring Magazine belt that meant the most to me. That popped to me because I've always been a historian. So I look to see the belt that Joe Louis had.
I see.
You know what? It wasn't, no disrespect to any of the alphabets. It wasn't the WBC. It wasn't the WBO. It wasn't the IBF. It wasn't the IBO. It wasn't any alphabet belt. It was the Ring Magazine belt. Henry Armstrong, same thing. I see like these old photos, black and white, where Henry Armstrong's got like the featherweight Ring Magazine title and the welterweight Ring Magazine title. That's how he did it. He went from featherweight to welterweight, then he dropped down to lightweight. So you were lightweight, Ring Magazine, lightweight champion, unified champion. I'll say you're undisputed.
Thank you.
You were undisputed. And then you shocked the world when you beat Josh Taylor to win the 140-pound championship and take his Ring Magazine belt as well. Let's lift it up here. I know you have you take a lot of pride in all of the hardware that you've earned in the ring, but I remember that night you were this was very special, the fact because you brought your own belts. You had the lightweight, the Ring Magazine lightweight championship belt, and your Fighter of the Year championship belt. So you brought him, and then he had his belt, and you were like, "Hey, let me have your belt so I could take a photo with 3 of them." And he's like, "No."
Yeah,
you're like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's the 100-year belt."
Yes.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I was like, I was upset because I felt like, hey, we earned it. We beat the guy, Josh Taylor, incredible talent, and
as tough as they come. Yeah. And super accomplished. And correct me if I'm wrong, he was the favorite.
Yes, he was. Josh Taylor, he was definitely the favorite. I mean, going in, he was still undisputed in my eye. Yes. And at the same time, he beat several undefeated fighters, really. And the Muhammad Ali trophy that he earned as well.
He entered a tournament where he had to fight the likes of Regis Prograis and that Baranchik guy who was an animal. And he got through it. He beat those dudes. He paid the cost to be the boss.
And Jose Ramirez at the end, outside of the tournament.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy was there to collect, and he was dominating every time. So I knew that I wasn't facing no schmo. Like, this wasn't no average Joe here. I knew that this guy was going to bring his all, and he did that night. But we dissected him.
You raised your game. Like you rise to the level of your competition.
That I do.
And something that I wrote about this in my Ring Magazine column is you can never count out a talent like you. Like you have natural talent that you do things that I don't think anybody teaches you. Like you seem to get in there and you will improvise on a moment, and it's like, did you train for that? I'm sure there are things you train for, but there's things that I feel you do in the moment that it made sense to you right then and there, and you see it and you recognize it and you execute, and it happens so fast, the speed of thought, almost instinctual, that it's your opponents can't keep up with it at all. Am I correct?
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. I mean, as an artist, right? It's almost in the sense of at that night when we're fighting and before the bell rings, we're entering our canvas, right? and it's how we want the world to see us that night. And it's just by the grace of the powers above us all. That's really what they come to intertwine with. Is really like those moments. It's my subconscious that is talking to me in those moments.
Mm.
It's really deep, and it's like, all right, throw this punch before, and then next thing you know, I'm throwing it, and it perfectly lands. In the 12th round with Josh Taylor, just because I was like, all right, we won this fight. I know we did, and something told me, all right, touch your foot and hit him with the right hand. In my subconscious mind. And I said, okay. I touch and it lands perfect. As Josh is switching to orthodox, he just falls right into my right hand. So whatever that is, I believe in a lot of high power of energy and frequency and vibration. So whatever that be, I think I showed that night.
And you were in tune that night. Now, it looked easy. It looked effortless. It looked like you were just having fun in there.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. But being in there, you're in with this tough, Scotsman.
Yeah.
It's coming at you. They got a certain attitude, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
They do. They're like, I don't care who they got that chip on the shoulder, right? And,
oh, yeah.
But was it to you? How did it feel, those 12 rounds?
I knew I was going to execute, and I knew it was going to be easy to me, to my thought. I was like, because you know what? No one's ever faced a fighter like me. I've been here before. I've done this, and it's like, this is just another day for me. However, how was I going to perform was the question, even within myself. I still thought about it. But as the time went on, the rounds went on, he is so tough. He was weighing like 168 pounds, almost nearly 170 pounds.
Wow.
That night, I was weighing 152. Give or take.
That's healthier. I mean, that's better, for your athleticism.
But one of the tallest, heaviest fighters I have yet to I have faced in my career thus far.
So you could feel it. I mean, you could tell he was a lot
By the
heavier.
11th round, I was definitely feeling more of his weight, but I was like, no, I trained my legs very hard for this. But he's very smart inside. His inside game is crazy. It's incredible. And I knew one thing, though. I was practicing a lot that I saw from Ken Norton, and Ken Norton took that from George Foreman, was
the cross arm. Yeah.
So
the new generation's all about the shoulder roll. Whatever happened to the cross arm? That's right.
Oh my! You see Ken Norton. If you go back in time, in those times when he was facing so many great champions, and Ali,
the cross
as well.
arm worked well against Ali.
Yeah, and it's crazy. He knew exactly, and you could just level it down up. Like there's so many ways, and sometimes he would just.
Foreman was good. The older version of Foreman, because his forearms were like that thick, and it was like a wall with Foreman. But you don't see anybody do that. You did it though that night.
Yeah, thanks to one, I could say, Bruce Trampler definitely is someone that I could say that he has helped me kind of expand my knowledge in the boxing world. And he's
about as knowledgeable as it comes.
And the person I love to joke with,
by the way,
alongside with him,
Bruce Trampler is a Hall of Fame matchmaker for Top Rank.
Good call.
Developed, just in case some of our listeners or viewers don't know, but he was the mind behind developing, Oscar De La Hoya, you know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather, all these great fighters that started with Top Rank and were developed by Top Rank. There's
Indeed.
like a dozen others.
Oh my goodness, so many that you would be surprised that they had. Truthfully, they knew, and they know how to market, and I always saw it that way. But the one that would make fun and make it like enjoyable at the same time was his right hand man of Brad Goodman.
Yeah.
And that
Goodman is in the Hall of Fame now too.
Yeah.
Also a matchmaker with Top Rank, everybody.
But imagine that, so I've always been a student of the game.
Did Bruce give you like just suggest fights for you to watch? Did he say something about Norton and the cross arm defense, or?
I think the thing, knowing Trampler a little bit, and he's not as talkative. To many.
He's guarded. Yeah. For a lot of people, he'll tell you to F off.
Yeah, seriously.
I've seen him do that in public, especially the lawyers. Somebody be like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm the lawyer for this fighter." He'd be like, "Go F yourself," and walk right past him like, wow, okay.
Sounds like it, man. To be real, though, I would say really it's he knows, since he's always seen it, right? They're Hall of Famers in matchmaking for a reason.
Right.
So they have this nick. They have
this gift. They see how fights play out. Yeah, based on styles.
And I think that he finds Bruce Trampler finds me a bit interesting that he goes and just tells me the name. He doesn't need to say no more than that. And I'll
Okay.
just cuz I think he could feel that I really love the sport of boxing so much that I want to and need to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
I've been 22 years already boxing into this,
Mm-hmm.
about to be 23 years in it,
Yeah.
and I still don't know boxing. I don't know the history of boxing.
That's
I
the
mean,
great thing about it.
and
About you, there's so much of it. It's such an old sport. There's so many different facets of it. You
yeah,
never stop learning.
since like
If you do
that,
stop learning, then
yeah,
you're gonna run into a wall.
or you turn
Yeah.
into Mayweather.
Oh, okay.
To be real though, I love what I do, man, and I think that a lot of people should look back in those times. Look, there's so many great champions. Even if they do have film, which it wasn't most likely wasn't invented, but boxing started in the 1800s, early
Yeah.
1800s, by the Greeks.
Yeah. Oh no, even going way
Right,
back.
way
Yeah,
back.
that's
Yeah.
ancient
Come on,
time.
give us a little bit. Come on,
That stuff was like to the death.
truthfully.
Yeah, I mean they would wrap hands, and there
They'll
were like
just-
maybe like the original Olympics, the original Olympics, and these are just dudes naked, mostly naked or whatever
Mhm.
out there, but they had like maybe 5 or 6 different I'll say hand-to-hand martial arts
True.
combat sports. I think some of them were to the death.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
didn't
But
they
they were wrapping their hands, and maybe they had like little studs and stuff.
Studs in
You
it.
watch the sequel to Gladiator, right? Did you
Yes.
see that
Yes.
kind of shit?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Indeed.
It's like it's hardcore.
I really wanna. I actually.
They weren't gloves, but they were the wraps.
Imagine if we
I think they
revamped
call it
that.
cestus.
But imagine if we redid that
I don't
of
think that's
this
a good
modern day
idea.
era. No. As a training.
Oh, okay.
As training
Right.
equipment.
Yeah.
I'm giving people like TED Talk right here. This
Yeah.
is dimes right here that I'm dropping.
Yeah.
But imagine that. Imagine bringing back the tradition, and I think even the great.
There's a lot
part.
of methods that have
Great
been
part.
forgotten. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that's done. Oh yeah.
Yes.
This is speaking of the Greeks, and yeah. That guy's a fighter right there.
That you can
Deep
see
in
it.
contemplation. Yeah. I mean, and there's statues, like out in Southern California, there's the Getty Museum, and they have one in Malibu, and then there's one up like just north of like the UCLA area. The one in Malibu's got all the Greek stuff,
Yeah.
and there's like a ton of just sculptures that were dedicated to the great fighters of those times. The great, I don't even know if they're. I don't know if we can even call them prize fighters, but they were
No, yeah.
they were fighters,
If anything,
and they were known. And they have like the scars in there and the hands. You see it, but they're all in like this deep contemplation. It's not like them in action. It's them at rest or them
Mhm.
between whatever rounds. And they weren't 3-minute rounds. Whatever. They were.
I think a lot of times didn't they also have at one point in time as well, and I think this is a little bit early, a little bit later on. They would fight. There was 100 rounds.
There was fights
50
to the
rounds
finish.
all the way to the finish, right?
Yeah.
They
They had fights to the finish going into the 20th century, so like early 1900s. There's a famous one with he was a lightweight champion named Joe Gans, and he fought a featherweight champion named Battling Nelson, I think. And they fought. It was in the summer, and it was I think it was like Reno or like a mining town, like gold, where they were mining for gold, and like those towns could put up like, okay, they had gold currency, like, all right. As a matter of fact, I think this was a Tex Rickard fight. He's one of the great promoters. He was Jack Dempsey's promoter, and just like a great sports promoter, like super entrepreneur. But this was his early days, and he was kind of visionary because Joe Gans was African American from Baltimore, and Battling Nelson, not quite sure where he was from. He was a white dude, and he didn't like black dudes. He was like famously racist, even for those times. They were like, "Dude, you're racist, man."
Oh, sure.
But he was a bastard, like he was a monster, like a pressure fighter and all that. But it was mixed race fights were discouraged, if not illegal. And actually, boxing was illegal in most jurisdictions. That's another reason why it'd be way out there in the desert, like in Nevada.
I'm learning so much right now with you.
There's a great book. I'll talk to you after the show. There's a great book about Joe Gans. You read it, and it's like it'll bring tears to your eyes. But it's like a piece of history. That piece of history, like so, the early 1900s, the 1900s before the 1910s, and the fight was to the finish. And I think it ended because Nelson was out of ideas after like maybe 20 or 30 rounds, and his face was a bloody mess. So he started fouling him, and they let you get away with a lot back then because it was rough. And these people who were watching, these are rough people. These are minors. You know, they're like, listen, we have a hard life. You have a hard life.
Yes,
you better spill some blood. So, but
in honor
it got
of us,
so
right?
egregious. Yeah, it got so egregious, the fouling, that it was stopped on a foul. But it was like, I don't know, it was over 50 rounds or whatever, like maybe 60 or something. I don't know, it was crazy. But that's how they used to do it. Even in Joe Louis's era, in Joe Louis's 1930s, some of his early fights were scheduled. They didn't get to it, but they were scheduled for 20 rounds.
Oh my goodness!
So even even into the 30s or whatever. And then at some point, it was like 15 rounds was like the championship distance until the 80s.
Until the 80s. 80s we had, it was now like what, 12? It was 15, 12.
WBC dropped it to 12.
To 12, right?
Yeah,
so first
and then
was
by
WBC.
the end of the decade, the other sanctioning bodies dropped it.
The first, but the newest body sanctioning was the WBO, 1988.
1988. Very
1988.
Good. They were the new kid on the block.
They sure were.
And they were not recognized in America, truly recognized, probably till the mid 2000s.
I agree.
Even though like Oscar De La Hoya had their belts in the 90s, and Riddick Bowe.
They were trying with the right names too.
No, it
right
helped,
fighters.
but it just it used to take a long time, And now, I mean, and I don't have anything against the sanctioning bodies, because I do see how the fighters love it when the fighter wins that first title. Yeah. It doesn't matter what belt it is. It means a lot to them, and it raises their income.
We got it
right contractually. When you win a title, if you're fighting for a promoter, it'll be right there in the contract. If you win a world title, your minimum, it goes up.
Yeah.
So I see that. So I'm
think about?
Anti-sanctioning body, but
you know who I think about?
Who do you think about?
We should have them pop up a video. Richardson Hitchens just now when he won the IBF against Liam Paro.
Yeah.
Look at his reaction.
Oh, what was it? His
reaction
watched the fight, but I didn't.
His reaction, he jumped and fell. He just emotions everywhere, just all over the place.
His whole life was leading up to that moment.
First, I think he's I don't know, no, because Andre Berta was an Haitian. He is an Haitian world champion, but he brought that back.
He did.
So Richardson Hitchens, he's from Haiti.
Sensation.
Yeah, you know it. Ça passe.
Yeah.
And from Brooklyn and from New York.
So I see that. I see a reaction like that, and I'm like, I can't hate on this belt.
No.
You know what I mean? And I can't tell them. I would never tell a fighter, hey, dump that. It's worthless.
But what is it then?
Listen, I've got like my college degrees, right? You know what I mean? I wouldn't trash them. I mean, it's just paper.
Yeah.
But I worked. I worked for that. I sacrificed for that. And that's what it is. The boxers sacrifice for those belts. So I respect all the belts.
But even in paper.
There's too many of them. That's why I do. And I'm not saying drop the belts or whatever. Get the belt. Try to unify. But try to get this one right here.
What if they
get this one? There's no politics with this.
What if we did something in the, there's so much that boxing can do. What I love about it is that boxing has that arsenal, the creative side of doing whatever it wants, as well as having 4 sanctioning bodies with the ring.
It's true. It is the wild west.
What if we did all in contusion with the colors or in the alignment of the ruby stones, of the gemstones, or something that correlates with these body sanctionings?
Like incorporate the sanctioning body belts into one belt?
And everyone gets their compensation fee. They get their...
That's what they want.
They'll get their fee.
But that's what sets the ring apart. We ain't asking for no money.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it. And that's what I love, and I brought it...
That's the purity of it. That's why we're about the sport.
I crossed the pond over here to really show that how much it really means to fighters like myself. There's so many great champions here that actually go and fight very hard. So... And it's really what started it was the ring.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's for me it's always gonna be that, but I love all the other body sanctioning competitors and those that are actually doing a great job and expanding the sport, because they're all based in different parts of the world.
Yes.
Which is also amazing.
And it's a global sport.
That it is.
All right.
And it's the number one toughest sport in the world.
Of course.
Till this day.
Of course.
Deontay Wilder.
Of course. And you know what? You're among the true champions of the toughest sport. Teo, thank you so much for taking this time with us.
I want to ask you so.
All right.
Last thing. Okay, so I had 12 rounds against Steve Claggett back in the end of June of 2024. I threw about like almost 1,000 punches in the fight, but I wasn't tired. But it was a 12 round.
And that's saying something. I know about Steve Claggett. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people
Raging
didn't give him respect. And I'm like,
Trampler said he
that
was a
dude's a
raging
monster.
bull, raging
Yeah.
bull. And but I want to know something. Can we bring some fights to 15 rounds? Can we?
I don't know. That might be
Just
that's
some
a
of
question.
us.
I feel
Why not
that
15
when you're
rounds?
fighting for the
Undisputed. How about we do undisputed 15 rounds?
add 3 rounds to it, then we'll
Add-
find out who the true champions are. I think you're one of those true champions.
Yo,
You got
hold on.
2 of these in 2 divisions. Let's
There
get
we
you.
go.
Let's get you a 3rd one.
And let's do that then. I think in honor of the representation of what it really stands for, that sanctioning fee of 3% that you guys don't charge, right? There's no sanctioning fee. Why not 3 rounds?
Okay.
Extra. 15 rounds.
All right,
For
Teo.
undisputed.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, man.
I
We
love
have
it.
to do it again soon.
Absolutely.